if I don't do something soon or get to take over or push it where I want to go, I'm not really going to do anything in my life. I just want to bring everyone up around me. I think for years, people have been underpaid in the industry, really badly underpaid. I thought, I can't keep doing this. I had a son at this point as well, little Quinn. Yeah, wrote the resignation letter, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And go into the office. Dad knew what it was as soon as I gave it to him. But I got to the Sunday and had no cars on site, nothing booked in on the Monday. And I was in this 4,500 square foot workshop. A tear did roll down my eyes, and I was like, what have I done?
Right, welcome back to another episode of On the Ramp, and this episode is going to be a guest episode, and we have quite a special guest with us today. So I'd like to introduce Shaun from Fergies.
It's the first guest episode, isn't it, as well?
It's the first recorded guest episode, but in our professional ways, it might not be the first released guest episode, but it is the first guest episode we're recording. So again, it's all new to us.
Gepisode.
We have an idea on how we want this to work, but we'll wing it as we usually do. So I guess we'll get into the introductions and then
first thing I'd like to know, Shaun, is where did it all start with you in the trade? When did you start, and why did you
get dragged into this wonderful trade?
Yeah. So for me, passion of cars started when I was much younger. Not so much in the mechanic side of it, just liked cars, playing with corgi toys, that sort of Matchbox stuff. Mainly used to take them apart and smash them up, and it was just something I liked to sort of do. Mum and Dad obviously owned a garage from as long as I can remember. Company called Miller's Garage, and Dad would always be working, all the time. We get taken down there, so I knew of the garage industry. But Dad was he didn't want me to didn't want me to get involved in it. You can do better than this, that sort of thing. So didn't really get involved until I left school. So started working at McDonald's, as you do when you leave school. Did a brief stint at making tennis courts with my mate's dad. It was a great job, but it was hard work.
Tennis courts?
Building tennis courts. And, and cricket pitches and that. It was a great job. One of my best mates, but it was hard work. And the lads all said to me, get out of here before you're 45. You don't want to be doing this when you're 45. So, so left there, and my dad actually said, we need a valeter.
So how old was you at that point?
I must have been 18, maybe 19. Something like that. So I've been at McDonald's for a couple of years, and then did that for about a year. So I'd say probably 19. So I left school from year 11.
Were your parents into cars as well? You mentioned that you was into cars. So did that come from your parents, you think, or?
Dad was definitely into cars. We didn't see him a lot because he was so busy. So I wouldn't say we did stuff with him. Right. Mum and Dad had also split up by this point. I think a lot had gone on in the business, and it got to the point where they parted ways. So Dad was just working 24/7 is what I knew.
Do you think, without going into too much personal life, it was that relentlessly at work, which...
Yeah, I think definitely a big factor. Yeah. I don't know the full ins and outs, but I think it was definitely a big factor of the hours. Is because I asked Mum about things in the past, and it was your dad was just at work. That was it. He was at work. So we didn't see loads of the car stuff. Like, we'd watch racing, Formula One. He was well into that, so we'd watch a bit of that.
Do you have memories of your dad always being at work?
Yeah, I mean, the only things I can really remember is either being down work or not being at home. That was sort of it. But obviously now, years later, I own the business. I understand some of it, but it's
this is funny, isn't it? It's funny how it comes full circle.
Do you though? Are you more conscious of it yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely now. I've obviously got kids in the business. It's made. Yeah, you're fighting a battle between doing that and the family, but it's made me very conscious that the family is important. So I mean, we'll obviously probably get into that a little bit more later, but it's definitely in the forefront of my mind now. Yeah, so so Dad, fell into it. Asked me to go in as a valeter because I didn't have a job. I'd left McDonald's, got sacked for. We won't go into that. It's a different story. But
were you pinching burgers?
You got sacked.
A box of chicken nuggets and some donuts might have gone missing, but
so cutthroat back then, was it?
Worked there with a good friend of mine. It was we ended up doing something stupid, and that was it. Ended up working for Dad as literally just valeting. They had a busy garage with 7 or 8 techs. No valeter. Used to do a lot of before it was fleet work. It was not One Link. It was by direct fleet companies like Hitachi and that. So they needed someone to clean the cars. So I come in and I clean cars for a year or two.
So how long ago was that? That would have been 20 20 years? How old are you
yeah,
now?
it must have been 20 odd years ago.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting. That it's fleet's a completely different subject, but the fact that fleet was still
Yeah.
your dad was doing fleet all the way back then is
Well, where we are in Newbury, Hitachi was their HQ. So
Right.
there was a huge building. They had a car park that was about 150 car park spaces. So they used to keep a lot of their fleet there. So that was one of the main reasons having the valet really was because we needed to get those cars cleaned. I mean, it was just repair, servicing, and take it back to them. But there was no online stuff. This was
it
all
was
phone calls,
all old school.
Yeah, proper old school.
Yeah.
And the reason he needed the valet was Dave, the original valet, was retiring. He'd been there 30, 40 years. He was a really nice guy. So he taught me for like 2 weeks. And yeah, basically left me to it. So it was
Steep learning curve.
learn on the job.
straight
Yeah,
in.
yeah, just literally learn on the job. Obviously, having lunch then with the techs every day, sort of get dragged in with them a bit. It's a complete different industry to what it is now, but the banter back then was, quite good. I say banter, there was a bit of probably a bit of bullying in there as well. But
Fire with brake cleaner sort of thing.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, getting pushed under the roller door and hosed down and all those sort of chucked in wheelie bins. It was great, and I think it's quite character building. To be fair,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I never
Different
ever
world
went
these
home.
days.
Yeah. I never went home upset, ever worried about it. It was just I just enjoyed it.
laugh.
Yeah. And then obviously seeing them work on cars, I just got sort of what you doing, what's going on, what's going on here.
Did you see when you decided to join the family business? Was that just a stopgap, or did you think this is my way into working?
So I
on
thought
cars?
it was a stopgap. What I actually wanted to do was car design or aeronautical design. I actually went to college and I got to Reading College, and then I don't know why I knew before it was a 7-year course. Monday to Friday, including Saturdays.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then after that, I'd have to go to university, and I sort of after literally 6 months, was like, what am I doing? I'm not academic. I'm not.
You've had enough learning.
Yeah. For me, I went just for the crack. Really, I think that's what it was. I had enough learning, and sort of fell out of that.
But I think that's actually quite an important subject, because I feel like this trade suffers as a result of people not directly wanting or having the ambition to join the trade.
Yeah, 100%.
And certainly at school, someone like yourself who is hands-on and loves cars,
Yeah.
it still wasn't at the forefront of your decision and your family's in the trade.
Yeah.
You still didn't consciously decide,
Yeah.
you know what, I want to go into the motor trade.
No.
And it's like that really, and it's especially our sort of generation where you push to go down the academic route, you push to go down the university route. That's created this real big gap of high quality people entering the
created a huge problem.
industry,
I mean,
hasn't it?
from my point of view, and Dad growing up, I don't think it was ever really thought of as a business. It was a job. That was it.
Yeah.
Cars
A job that turned into a business.
Yeah, cars needed to be fixed. And my dad first started as a technician, worked for Vauxhall, ended up being like the foreman at Vauxhall, and then ended up, I think, a building became apparent, and he got fed up doing what he did, and he thought, let's go and start a business, literally as a mechanic, which is what
How old was he then?
I think he was about 22, 23,
Oh, okay.
so he was young.
Really young.
Yeah, but he was the foreman at 21 years old in a Vauxhall dealership, and from what he told me, is it was a struggle because nobody liked it because he was really young.
Yeah.
So he then just went and started a business with absolutely no qualifications or understanding of sort of what to do, which I think when I started mine, also another thing I was very focused on was I need to understand what I'm doing, because I saw what happened to my dad, 120 hour weeks every week for his whole life.
Yeah.
And
that is that if the business isn't necessarily set up quite correctly, you can work as hard as you want, and it might not necessarily. I mean, your dad's running a very successful business, but I see lots of business owners who are grafting.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, the setup is incorrect.
Yeah,
so you've got that swimming upstream constantly. You don't feel like you're
exactly.
making sort of progress. So
well, I think there was a big bit of that. I mean, now, they're doing really well, which is absolutely great. I think there's a lot of support in the industry. Things are completely different. But back then, it was very much you're just on your own. You're a technician trying to run a business. You haven't got a clue when it comes to hiring people. And when I obviously got in there, they had, let's say, there was 8 techs. They would have people wouldn't come and go like it did. A lot of loyal employees, but when you did lose someone, it was like, what do I do now? We'd lose like a front of house person. It was like, oh god. So then that actually is one of the reasons I ended up doing this, is because I went from technician to we lost a front of house person. Oh my god, I better sit in that seat and help. It was
it's a similar experience to me in the family business. You kind of you do what you need to do.
You
fill that space, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I think me seeing him working so hard and going through the stress. I mean, he'd never burdened me with the stress. He didn't tell me the stress, but you could see it.
Yeah.
It was very, very apparent, and you could just see the hours.
And were you at this point? Were you still living at home as well?
Yeah, so I was living with my mum. To be honest, if it wasn't his son, he would have sacked me because I was constantly late, which is another thing he has to deal with. After you're young, you're an idiot, aren't you? You're out and you're doing bits, but so I lived at home, drove to work every day, and I'd only see my dad at work.
Right. Okay.
Which was
a positive in that respect.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it was good to you sort of see him more, but I suppose mum not being involved in the business anymore. It wasn't like I was at home at work as well. It was home and work.
Was split when you went home.
And that is quite a positive.
Yeah, but
in that respect,
being young, I just wanted to go out all the time. I didn't. I'd leave work and didn't think about the business at that stage. It was.
So when did you go from valeter? Did you go straight to technician from moving
valeter? So valeter
a qualification.
Did an apprenticeship at college. I mean, I really enjoyed that part of it. Again, I think it's the camaraderie, friends, all of that. I love the college bit. Become qualified, and then the valeting thing was gone. Obviously, that was in the past. Just started doing general repairs, servicing, repair. This is like old Cavaliers and stuff like back in those days. I missed the points and injection. Sorry, the points and condenser stuff.
Just as well.
I think we all just escaped that.
Just escaped that. But one thing we did. Oh, my alarm. Can you hear that?
Yeah,
that's
fine.
Fine.
Let's go turn it off. Sorry. This is what we do. This is how professional we are.
Oh right. God, it's on silent. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. You will be.
That won't shut up. It'll just keep going.
Is that what time you wake up?
Yeah. What's this alarm for, Sean?
So there, also there.
What are we talking about then? We'll have to get back to it. Sorry about that.
We was talking about
the
repair. Yeah, you was doing general repairs and things, and so you started doing an apprenticeship.
Yeah, so did an apprenticeship. The sort of one day at college, I was working with a guy called Pete, who was like my dad's right hand man. Really, really a quality bloke, just great laugh. Not actually qualified, but a great tech. He was a plumber by trade, but ended up falling into it and was just a great tech. So he was a great mentor.
And how old was you when you started mechanicking then?
So I must have been 22, something like that.
It was mechanicking back then.
Yeah, mechanicking.
We were mechanics.
Definitely mechanicking. Yeah. There was nothing electric, was there? Really,
No.
It was mechanical. It was brake shoes, drums. It was wheels. Yeah, the most exciting thing we did was wheel cylinders and things like that. It wasn't. And then I was part of, obviously, I suppose, the introduction to fault codes and diagnosis, and that really lit a flame in me then, because I like mechanical stuff, but I really like problem solving and things like that. And we were everyone there was quite old, and it was just mechanical fixing. It's all it was. When we started to get these,
were you doing engine work, head gaskets?
Yeah, so it was
snap belts,
basically stuff like that. Yeah. I was doing some cam belts. I wasn't doing chains. That was a bit above me then.
Yeah.
We weren't really doing like gearbox repairs or anything, but we were taking engines out and we were doing that sort of stuff, rebuilding engines, and then we started to see these problems coming in with like engine management lights on. We're like, what's all this sort of thing? Dad, obviously was trying to keep up with the curve. Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but do you remember the auto-diagnose machine, the original handheld like scanner? It was actually called auto-diagnose. It was.
my first experience with Diag was the old snap-on with the keys. You used to
S63.
The fact you can still remember them. You remember the keys by it's funny.
Yeah,
and it was
mad days.
It cropped up on Facebook. I don't know, just on like some meme page of. If you know what this is, then and it's like I just had this flashback because like when you just get that memory like I can actually still remember the codes.
That was amazing. Well,
even so old.
Before that, the flash codes, wasn't it as well? Remember the flash code stuff? That was like the first introduction to Diag.
No.
So a car would come in and a light bulb would just flash.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh no.
And you'd have to count the flashes and work out the fault code.
Really?
Yeah. So that was mad. But yeah, then we got this machine, and no one had done any further training. It was you qualified and you're a mechanic. That was it.
Yeah.
So we were basically finding we couldn't fix stuff. Things were coming in and we didn't know what to do with them. And we started getting external people to come in. So you'd have auto electricians or and they weren't any good at it. It was you'd fix the odd thing, but they were stumped by a lot of it. And I got to a point where I was like, we can't keep doing this. We're losing work, we're losing money all the time because we're wasting hours. And at that point, I found my real passion, which my dad always says to me. He's like, you weren't really a mechanic. You were a technician waiting to
waiting for it to
happen, which was right. I mean, oh God, I remember one cylinder head I put back on. I put the inlet valves in the exhaust ports and and couldn't work out why it had no compression. So yeah, this really lit a flame in me. And when
were you always a bit like techie, bit of a computer?
I've always been a geek my whole life. Yeah. I mean, I've always tried to hang around with cool people, but I definitely was the geekiest one. Yeah, I've always loved computers.
Yeah. Same me actually. I was big into IT. And
was it?
Yeah,
I think we're the cool ones. To be fair,
though. Yeah.
I had a train set when I was younger, so it's that.
All right. No, I didn't have a train set. Too far.
I've gone too far. We'll edit that out. It'll be fine. So yeah, I've been sort of geeky and just love, I think, problem solving. I don't know why. I've never been particularly academic. It's, I can't spell, I can't do maths that particularly well. Obviously, things have changed as we get older, but I've always wanted to fix stuff. Was
that more of a just you weren't interested? Because we're going to speak about it later on, but you're obviously very intelligent. Is that more of a just you just didn't apply yourself? You just weren't interested?
I think a little bit like that, but I think I just think differently. I haven't got that academic side. I've got a technical side. I just think that's the way I
just more practical. Then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Definitely. I'd certainly enjoy it more. I mean, who wants to learn English? It wasn't really at school. It didn't light a flame. Let's put it that way.
I was exactly the same.
Yeah, I was art, technology, straight A's and all of that stuff. But the rest of the stuff I just didn't care about.
Yeah, so. It's not really interesting.
No,
not even RE.
That's my least favourite subject.
Yeah.
So when this technical stuff started coming in, it was obvious that I wanted to do that. And so, as I said, we were losing money. We couldn't start fixing stuff. You're starting to see a lot of comebacks. That was a big thing for me. It was like the stress it caused in the workshop because of the comebacks. So I sort of had a meeting with Dad about it. I mean, I say a meeting, I probably barged the office door down and sort of said, this has got to stop. Because we didn't really, back then, there wasn't, as I said, it wasn't really a business. We didn't have meetings. We didn't.
And how many years did this? So you started mechanic about 20.
I'd say 22.
So I reckon. How many years would you been in there before you started going down the dive route?
Qualify. I reckon it must have been 28ish. I would have thought it was.
So about 5 years in.
Yeah, because qualified 3 years. Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 years in. I would have thought.
And how many years ago was that then? You started.
God, Jesus. With Fergies been going 5 years now. It's probably 10, 12 years ago then, something like that. I would have thought. And it was a real snowball from there. It was like, right, we need to do something. We need to do the training. We need to do something here. It was hard to persuade Dad to spend the money because nobody had done anything else. There was no further training. And at this point, Dad had just joined Bosch Car Service.
We was in that.
Which I actually come about with, someone rang me. No, it was a customer rang up and said, you guys are really good. I think you should be part of this Bosch Car Service. I'd never heard of it. So I went on a conference that they invited me on and thought it was really good. Then we joined, and then we obviously found out all the training. So I think that was the real igniter for we need to do all this ourselves now. So I ended up going on some training courses through Bosch in Denham. But before that, we'd just done like the odd IMI thing that was free. They give you. Nobody else in the garage was interested. A lot of the older guys by this point had started to retire, and we had some younger people coming in. But again, no clue about this sort of thing. And then I went down a big rabbit hole for Diag, dedicated my life to it basically. Started Bosch training, so went through their program, which is really cool. Met some really cool trainers like Rob Drinkwater, met John Batten there. That's where I first met him. It was just a really cool place. I think first time it was community as well.
Well, I guess really importantly, you're meeting other technicians with the same mindset.
This was it, because before that there was no real community. You just had problems and you were left to it. It was you had to find a way. There was no helplines. There was no really nothing back then. It was.
Was you ever on the Busted Knuckle forum?
No. Right. Was that like a pre-Facebook sort of thing?
Yeah. It's like an elite group of Diag people.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh no, I missed that one. Damn it.
You weren't invited, mate.
Not elite enough. No, because I suppose you said about being a nerd. I was never a PC nerd. Okay. I was always like a gamer. PlayStation, but I've never a PC. So I didn't like the internet. I hated emails and things like that. I didn't really get the internet at the beginning. So no, I was never on that. But then obviously through meeting people at Bosch, then Facebook became a big thing. I don't know what year that came out, did it? But you started to see these forums popping up.
Well, you had the ability to connect properly with people. Instead of just getting a phone number, you could add them on Facebook, couldn't you?
That was it. You'd meet people on training courses and get the phone number, add them on Facebook, like you said. And I suppose the first sort of community thing was you'd phone someone for a problem.
Yes.
and back in the day, that was, I mean, I think I hated this as well, but Dad would always say to me, phone a dealership and ask them a question, phone them and ask a and I'd cringe at picking the phone up and asking someone I don't know for advice, because it's like, well, I can't do the job, so can you tell me how to do it, please?
Which it's probably not going to work with the dealerships. Just on the point of the dealerships, this is probably because you started your career in Vauxhall dealership.
Yeah.
So Shaun's speaking about stepping into Diag, and there was no one really doing it, and going through the first Diag tours. What was that in the same sort of era? What was that like at the dealership with the introduction of diagnostic?
I started when I was like literally at school 15, 16, and I think I started doing technician stuff about 3 or 4 years after that. So I went straight into doing apprenticeship at college 1 day a week, and I was on the Vauxhall training as well. But yeah, it was sort of straight into Diag.
Oh, what, straight from qualification?
I was literally kind of like, my first sort of thing was getting into Diag.
Was it really?
Yeah.
What, as part of the apprenticeship?
Yeah, I loved it as well. I loved that side of it, and I wanted to pick up the computer all the time, plug it in, and I did much more of that than I think I did.
The mechanical,
like, probably 2 pairs of brake shoes in my career.
So you liked it again?
Yeah, a pair of shoes. I was like, no,
not doing that again.
Not doing that.
Was that the old Tech? What was
Tech
it?
2. Oh yeah, Tech 1.
Yeah,
but it was mainly Tech 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tech 1, Tech 2. Yeah.
God, they bring up memories.
But yeah, no. So I was kind of like straight into the Diag. And it's really cool because I remember I was going to college. And I'd been learning it at the Vauxhall College, so I was like, put my hand up for everything. Like, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, I don't know about both your colleges, but mine wasn't the best. It felt like it was 20 years behind.
No, I always remember thinking that year 2 was like year 1, and year 3 was a bit like year 2. It just felt like it was the same every year almost.
Yeah, they're way behind. I mean, there was no mention of fault codes and diagnosis when I was at college, and that was just starting then, so it was.
No, we were still stripping alternators down, and that sort of stuff starting out with.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. So it was way behind. Yeah.
So coming back to community, then you're obviously meeting these people. Facebook's just starting to get off the ground, and then you did something quite remarkable, which was decide to set up a Facebook group. Was this kind of in a similar sort of time as all of that was?
Yeah. So it was during the start of the training. I'd probably been going for Bosch for maybe a couple of years, so I'd done some of the basic courses, and I come across on Facebook one of these groups, but it was an American group.
Yeah.
So everything in there was very Americanized. It was very Chevy, very this, and it. Yes, it helped. We could ask for advice because, let's face it, when you're learning in the early days, the bigger your community, the more advice you can get from people. It helped. Without training, it helped you fix things. Generally, it did.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really find anything that was UK based, so I decided to start a group in the UK, add some of the really good American people in it, so that get a bit of traction, and then it just sort of took off from there. Like, I suppose, tell people at training courses about it, people we'd meet at garage meets and events and things like that, and also I spent a lot of time adding people. You go through and try and push it out, and it built almost like a UK community for it where. In the early days, I used it a lot to help fix cars. It was can you give me some
sharing
advice?
knowledge sharing, isn't it? Yeah,
and it almost at one point it did become all consuming. It was
almost
me,
too much. Yeah.
It was me getting information from other people, but then in the evening, sat in my bed scrolling, giving information to everybody else because it's like a two-way thing. And I think it became addictive as well a little bit because it was.
Well, that's the problem with social media. It keeps you coming back for more, doesn't it? More people want to join the group, more questions being asked, more problems being solved.
Exactly that. And it made me realise there was how many people were out there that had the same problems that we did. And that was the big thing for me. It's like, oh my God, this isn't just us. This is everybody. And I think that's where I first met you, Alex, and Leo as well, was through social media.
Yeah.
And then, just the community you can build from there, and what happens from there is unbelievable, really.
And that group's now up to how many thousand?
It's about 7,500
7,500 people.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds of posts a month now going on of people meeting each other, helping each other.
That's it.
I remember telling you about some Facebook because you wasn't in many. I remember telling you about them, and you was like, "Oh, they're in it, and they're in it, they're in it."
Yeah. I wasn't in any. I don't know if we spoke about it in a previous podcast, but I was completely on my own.
When we had our first phone call, I remember you telling me
I just didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
Because if you don't look for them and you don't know people,
if you don't get told,
you have to get told, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's when people start telling people. That's when these groups start to snowball.
Yeah,
really
they
quickly.
really, really do. I was the same in the beginning. It was no different for me. I didn't know they existed, and all the potential there existed. And all of a sudden, you've got access to all of this information, and it's not necessarily even just fixing cars information. It's problems and like business problems, and and it just sort of grows from there, really.
But I guess that it is. There are lots of problems, but for me, this community aspect of the trade, when you can speak to another business, because there's a problem with I can't fix this car, but when you have a business problem, that's a very lonely position to be in. Like it's not, if you can't fix the car, you just sorry, we can't fix it, move it on. If you've got if you've got a business problem that's really stressing you out and you've got no one to speak to about it, then
it can be lonely.
Really lonely, and that's for me the community side. And if it wasn't for the groups on Facebook, I'd like to think I wouldn't have Facebook, but Facebook is really good at building these community groups.
Yeah, I've always said the same thing. I think I'd get rid of it.
And then that led to the Say No to Customer Supply Parts group, which you then started that, didn't you?
Yeah, so I mean, this was a few more years down the line, probably 2 or 3 more years again. And so I'd started to get really heavily involved in Diag. We started to fix more cars. It was great. And then one thing we noticed is there's a huge trend in people starting to request to have their parts fitted, because obviously with the rise of the internet, you can buy everything from anywhere. China sell everything. That was because we were getting asked all the time, and speaking to other garage owners and technicians at these events, it was because it was frustrating everybody. So again, how can we get this community together and try and get the word out to get people to stop doing it? Because for me, the biggest part of it was we want control of the job. We want quality control. We know where the parts are from. If there's an issue, we can go through the warranty processes. If a part comes from China, what can we do about it? It's whose fault is it? The part's fault?
Yeah,
our
if the
fault?
part fails, what do you do then?
Exactly.
Because as the garage, legally speaking, you fitted that part.
Yeah.
You're liable for the job.
Yeah,
And
exactly,
you hear a lot of garage owners who will fit supplied parts say, yeah, but there's no warranty.
Or write someone an invoice that,
In law,
That doesn't mean
courts,
anything,
that's
does
not
it?
going to
No.
stand up. You're the professional.
Yeah.
You've okayed that part.
But even forgetting the law side of it, it's just awkward, isn't it?
Yeah.
If something goes wrong and it comes back in, it's like, right, well, where do you, it just opens a can of worms.
It does,
Then
yeah.
Well, we
you're not in
learned the
control,
hard way.
basically. Yeah, you're not in control of that job. If that goes wrong, it's out of your control.
Yeah, exactly that. We, like everybody probably used to fit parts that customer would come in, and we learned, it was back at Miller's again, learned the hard way where something went wrong and the parts company were like, nothing to do with us, you fitted it, it's your problem. And then the customer's like, well, it's nothing to do with me, you fitted it, the part was right. So it just became a nightmare.
We were exactly the same, except we were fitting like supplied engine, like used engines, and like really, like when I think back to the decision making, that you supply a £2,000 engine you bought from a scrapyard that we've never dealt with, and we'll fit it for you. Yeah,
We've done that before. Yeah, it's like you get the engine and we'll fit it.
And the headaches
it's
it
just
creates.
mind blowing, isn't it? And I understand there are circumstances. Let's say it's a bit of a specialist car, it's a bit of a specialist part, it's a pretty special customer. There's always circumstances in which you may do that, but on the whole,
I've come to learn. Like you said, there's always circumstances. You take every job on its merit, but on the whole, why would you put yourself in a grey area? It's just a nightmare to be in.
And also, as you grow a business, you have to be clear. Like you're either doing it or you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't really take each car in its own merit. Because if you decide like we don't do fixed supply, that'll be all right, or that'll be all right.
So I mean, as part of the culture of the company, no, we do not fit unless the only thing would be like Alex said, if it's a reason for it, like the parts no longer available, can only come from America. I haven't got a supply chain for it, but but it's one car a year. It's all I'm saying is you got to put your customer first as well and think, well, how does this affect them? But generally, if you're fitting parts for them, it's a negative effect on them all the time. So
and we've spoken about all of the reasons why not to do it, and we've not actually mentioned the profit you lose by not fitting the parts as well.
Yeah,
it's no secret. We do sell labour, but we also sell parts.
Yeah, like every other business, like plumbers sell pipe work. It's that sort of thing, and
we have one person dedicated to parts, so we're paying him to ensure the parts come right for that customer's car.
Yeah.
Sometimes we collect parts or whatever, so that's all got to be factored in, isn't it?
The profit goes towards paying, like you said, paying for his wages and just.
Or even if you've got certifiers, they're doing as part of their job that you're paying them for.
Yeah.
They are finding the parts.
Yeah, which is a time-consuming job, isn't it? As we all know. So for me, it's just promoting the word to get it out there. I think if you don't know, you don't know. Again, people are.
We've all done it. All three of us here used to fit customer supplied parts.
Exactly.
Because you don't know better.
Yeah. It's only until you get told that you then start to think, oh, actually, this is and I think that's what happened. That's got like 3,500 members in it now, and we now hear a lot when people phone up about parts. Oh, I've tried everywhere else and no one will do it for me. So it's getting out there.
I always remember thinking, I remember there was an issue on Corsa, I think it was Corsa D, where the brakes wouldn't work on one side basically, and often you only notice on MOT. You come on MOT, and there's like nothing.
The ABS,
and there's
the
ABS
modulator, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I remember, I'm sure we might have even fitted customer, and I think so. There's a problem with these parts, and you're going to fit either a customer supply one or a second-hand one, and then this is literally a part that's renowned for
Failing.
not breaking on one side of the car.
Yeah.
I could go crazy wrong.
Well, it's a perfect analogy on that. You fit it, and it's exactly the same because the fault's got the parts got the same problem. You've spent all that labour and time. Yes, it's their problem.
Yeah, well,
but
even
they
if you
might be
fit it and it
angry.
is right, but then a month later it develops the same fault and then you fitted a part, and then they go have an accident because it's a brake issue.
Exactly, and you should have warranted that job for a minimum of whatever 12 months. I mean, who owns the warranty on the part? It's just a grey area you don't need to be in.
And how's that famous industry analogy go?
Oh, what that everyone talks about? Take a steak to a restaurant, and you wouldn't ask a restaurant to take it.
Yeah, we should try that. I'm going to take some chicken into Nando's and say,
that's a good one. I like that.
I'll pay the labour. You fry my chicken.
Fry my chicken, please.
And just see how ridiculous a response you'll get from them is, why do it in this trade?
Exactly that. It's taking a bottle of wine into restaurants, isn't it, and start pouring your own glass. That's not going to happen. No. So I think, I mean, if people want to check it out, it's say no to custom supply parts. Get involved. It'd be great to have other people's opinions.
Absolutely.
But I'm still bad in we've got some work going on at work at the minute. Electrician. I'm not looking for my own lights. So on my own.
I've caught myself doing this a few times when you start Googling, and then I've even said to people the same thing, and I'm like, "What have you just done?" You're just going to get. So I think it's be aware in your whole life that other businesses need to make money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's like my parts supplier. One of the big things for me is in the culture of what we try to do is treat our parts suppliers like we treat our staff. They need to make money as well. So
it's got to work for them.
Hammering them down for 10p on an oil filter every time is just it's wasted time.
Funny, I actually had a meeting with our parts supplier yesterday to discuss what does a good supplier relationship look like, and it's absolutely a two-way street.
Yeah,
100%. If you get the reputation within the suppliers that you are just pricing up and you're going to shop around and you're pricing your purchasing based purely on price, what sort of relationship are you going to have with all of those suppliers?
Yeah,
it's no different to us and a customer. If you've got a customer that every time he rings, he's asking for price, and you don't want it, do you?
No, it's going to get to the point where it's like...
well, nobody can make any money.
There are always the jobs that go wrong as well, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are.
Always.
Yeah.
I think the thing is in our industry as well, because it's so technical, we need to make profit to reinvest in the new technology. It's probably the most fast-changing industry out there, isn't it, really, apart from maybe aerospace, but it's
certainly fast-changing, and profit. Yeah, we make a profit, like you said. We're running a business, working on an awful lot of hours. There's a lot to invest in.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with making profit.
And that's not even talking about the staff problem, so the wages rising and all of that as well. So that's a conversation for another day. But yeah.
So then, going back to kind of your story, so you kind of went down the diagnostic route. I guess you got quite confident, quite good at that. And at some point, you've made a decision to go and start on your own.
So basically, we were now at a point that I'd probably even go into Bosch for, I don't know. I mean, it might seem maybe 5-6 years. It might be shorter, but it seems like quite a long time when you're in it. We were diagnostically very capable at this point. I mean, I would do most of the work, but Jason was coming up behind me, and there was a couple of other lads that were starting to, really sort of hold their own. And then before I went on my own, Top Technician actually come about, which was, again, being a geek and loving all this online stuff. I saw it and I was like, I want a bit of that. I want to compete against. I thought I was fairly good at it, but am I good at it, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So just focusing background on Top Technician then. So how did you hear about this? And for the listeners that don't know, what exactly is Top Technician?
Yeah, so I heard about it because I used to get Aftermarket magazine. So it was like the monthly magazine for the trade, or one of them at the time. I didn't subscribe to it; it just used to turn up. So I don't know how we used to get it. And I saw it in that magazine, and you'd known about people that had won it previously, James Dillinger, Frank Massey's, these people in the past, because I started YouTube watching videos and learning all that again. So I was like, this looks really fun. This looks cool. Thought nothing of it. Entered the first round. Got through the first round on the first year,
and what was that first round? What did you have to do?
So basically Top Technician is where technicians basically compete against each other to prove that they've got the skill set to fix cars, basically. Yeah. So it's built on, I think it's 3 or 4 rounds. I can't remember because I haven't done it since I've actually won it. It's 3 or 4 rounds. The first 2 are online, so they're just online questionnaire. You just register, get a questionnaire, and basically fill in competency-based questions. What would you do with this? How does this work? How does this work? That sort of thing. And I loved it instantly. It was just like, oh, this is different. This is challenging.
Yeah.
You sweat on the palm of your hands and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
First year got through the first round and then failed at the second. But for me, it was now I know what I need to learn.
Yeah.
I was so short on. There was
That's the best thing about these.
So good.
These...
Nothing about EV back then. It was all way before that. But it's just like, wow, I don't know stuff about ABS. I don't know stuff about. So back to training courses, back to online, YouTube, speaking to people, watching videos, training more. Did it again next year. Got through to the third round, which I think is didn't. No, second round again and failed again. So just carried on again. But I loved it. It really ignited a fire in me. Then the next time I got through to the proper live round, which is the semi-final, which was next level. I mean, it's basically then it's whittled down to, I think it's top 20 or maybe even 10. I can't remember fully. It was a while ago. And they meet up at a technical training centre, and there's basically challenges that have been set by trainers. And I think my first one...
Who were your trainers? Who was...
First one that was there, who was there? James Dillon was there. I think Frank Massey was there, I want to say. And there was a few people from Aftermarket who I didn't know. So it was almost like, by this point, I was in YouTube, like, rabbit hole. And some of these people were like your idols. Idols at that point. It was like meeting like Ian Wright, when I was massive Arsenal fan.
I'm sorry, James is going to enjoy that little segment. Yeah.
But back then, it was that. So it was the most nerve-wracking day of my life. It was horrible. I felt sick all day. Really, really hot. There's a funny story later about me wearing shorts here, I had trousers on that day, and I was so hot I couldn't stop sweating. But got through it. It was really good. It was. I think it was 6 or 8 challenges that you got only 20 minutes each to find a fault with each vehicle or engine, and that's not a lot of time. Doesn't sound a lot of time, but when you're in it, boy, it's not a lot of time. And you just go into work mode. It's just you just sort of switch off, like, right, I need to fix this. Absolutely loved it. But for me, it wasn't just the competition. It was the community, the camaraderie, meeting people of like-minded things, staying in the hotel the night before, chatting to them all. It was just amazing. That year, I didn't... did I get any further? I don't think I got any further that year. And then did it again the following year.
So this is the fourth time?
Fourth time, yeah. Did it again. I think I might have actually had a year out as well. So it was 5 years later. So basically, I then got through to the final, which is where I met Carl Weaver, the winner.
Yeah.
And John Batten was heavily involved this year as well, and Dave Massey, I met him as well, which was always a pleasure. What a character! But it's basically then I think it's 4 or 5 tasks, but you get 40 odd minutes on each one, but there's multiple faults on each task, so it's next level. You some of them had complex. 4 or 5 faults in them,
right,
and they're looking for your process. So again, it was more the camaraderie, it was more the community for me. I absolutely loved it, and the challenge, staying over the night before, getting to know people like Carl and
the community, social side of it.
Yeah, social side of it was amazing. And then obviously announced that I'd come second, which I couldn't believe. My dad, I was working at Miller's there. Obviously at this point, my dad come with me with his partner, and it was just it was just.
Great
wow,
night.
yeah. I mean, I was disappointed because I thought I'd won.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I thought I did. But after you reflect, you're like, actually, don't be an idiot. That's quite an achievement.
So is that when Carl won it?
That's when Carl won it. Yeah, fully deserved to get such a smart bloke, really smart bloke, and a great guy as well. It was just awesome. It was an awesome night, really. Just party, and
just that was celebration, isn't it?
Yeah, that was probably my first real event that I met people at, and it was like, wow, there's like this industry's like actually really cool, as well. With this community, I speak to all my friends that are plumbers and electricians, and they have none of this.
We're quite lucky in that respect.
Yeah. I think it's because we've got more problems and we're looking for them initially. But yeah, so so come second, and then I was more involved in the business side of things at work now. So it was front of house had left, and I sort of got involved with covering for that for a bit. I'd speak to customers about all the diag problems, so I'd be more dealing with them. So the business side of it was maybe starting to sort of creep in, and I could see being in all makes was a disaster waiting to happen. I was spending every hour of every day.
From a specialist point of view, or from a diagnostic point of view?
From a diag point of view. So online meeting people, we were trying to find solutions. How do we rectify this solution? If we trying to keep up with everything, every make, Fiat, Chrysler, always, oh my God. And we looked at a famous blue box company we were going to go with for their diag, because we were a little bit behind and didn't have that. And it was then I met a guy called Steve Patterson, who's a bit of a legend.
Stevie P. We all know him.
Bit of a legend. And he actually took the time out of his day to say, give me a call. I want to speak to you about something. and opened my world up to dealer diagnostic tools, which was absolutely life changing. It was at the point. I mean, I can't thank him enough for it. So then it was very apparent. Then we started buying all the dealer tools for all the makes. And it was like, this investment is huge. It was, and it also using the tools, updating them. It's just
updated, yeah.
So I found myself even worse situation. I could fix the cars, but I couldn't fix the tools that fix the cars.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was.
Of course, services exist today.
Yeah, I mean, and now we use Garage Vitals. Been absolutely brilliant, because it's just taken that stress away from me, and it was a big stress when you've got 15 tools you need to update, and it needs to happen all the time. It actually almost consumed me to the point. Yeah. But at the same time, it changed how we fix cars. Yeah. Because we've got the knowledge base of an independent garage with the dealer information and facilities, and it was
processes.
Processes. It was huge. You put those two together, and that is a strong
well, you can truly compete, can't you?
Yeah.
The dealerships.
Exactly that.
I think mostly because I remember the process when I left Vauxhall dealer, thinking I could fix any Vauxhall or something on my own. I soon, within months, realised I could not.
Oh, without the technical help, you mean? The help
No, just like you have your guided fault diagnosis, and it's like you put this pin here, check for this. Whereas when you go independent, you start to look at things as a system. So you look at it like, right, that's a Bosch CP whatever system, and then once you know that system, you see another car. Oh, yeah, know that system. Yeah, I know to do a leak off test on that, and there's this. Whereas when you're so brand focused, you'd so reliant on that.
I think that's the really powerful thing about putting the two together. Like I said, if you know a system, doesn't matter what car it's on, you can fix it, and that was what was really powerful about the training, the aftermarket training.
So coming back round to Top Tech, then you've done it 4 times.
Yes.
With a year in between, so you're on your 5th year.
And then so the 5th year,
you're still not defeated.
No, still absolutely loved it. It was amazing.
It's a bit like Arsenal, isn't it? Going for the
watch the game last night with
the Premier League
City.
title.
Then eventually win it. This year is the year.
I'm not sure, but anyway, don't upset anybody. It's all good.
They've never won it then.
We'll move on there.
This was held at it was the garage next to Johnny B's OIQ training place. I can't remember what it's called. Dunstan
New Dunstan Garage. Richard, cracking, beautiful site.
Yeah, beautiful business, really cool. Richard's a really nice guy. But it was held there, and again, it was mentors. Dave Massey was there. John was one of the judges. It was just a great day. Again, 5 or 6 tasks, 40 odd minutes to win it. To get the faults. I actually didn't think I'd won this day because I had a bit of a disaster. They sort of joke about the time I blew up a headlight bulb in my hand. I don't know what I'd done. I moved it out of the headlight. It was glowing. It hit something and it literally exploded and there's blood everywhere. So I actually pause it and have a 20-minute out while they wrapped my hand up. And they were going to take me to hospital, and I didn't want to. So they restarted me and had another 20 minutes to finish it. So I thought, there's no way on earth I've done it.
And you're disabled as well at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Covered in blood as well. The white Top Tech shirt covered in blood. And got through it, and then got to the obviously awards dinner, and I couldn't believe it. I'd won it.
How did that feel?
It was I think elation, really. I broke down in tears because it was something I think I'd wanted. I mean, it took me in total it was 6 or 7 years. I can't remember exactly, but to go from first.
I didn't realise how many times.
No, I didn't.
And that's like, it's just you all over grit. You had your mind set on something.
Just got to get through it, and I didn't want to stop until I think I had my mind on it, and I knew I had to try and win. I didn't think I was capable of doing it, but as you go more into it, you sort of start thinking, I can do this.
And what I love about that is that's evidence that each year you went back and you learned something that you didn't know.
Yeah.
100%. And you went back and proved what you did know. Yeah. And you can clearly see the progress. You get through stage 1, you get through stage 2, you get to the finals, you get to the final, and then you win.
Yeah.
And that journey that you went on, utilising these Top Tech, things you can go on will actually improve you as a mechanic.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the people you're going to meet, the trainers you're going to meet, my advice to anyone is when I always ask you going to do it, I'm not smart enough, I'm not clever. Doesn't matter. I wasn't. Just do it, and then you'll see where you need to learn. It's an eye-opener for how you need to improve, so why would you not do it?
And it's free. Things take time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you do get the odd person that's just a natural born genius, and they might win.
They rock up and win.
Yeah. And
bit like Leicester.
That's it, yeah. And best of luck to them.
Yeah.
But I think everybody should do it. If you want to make a career out of it, challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're going to learn more. And winning that then give me more confidence that maybe I can do something going forward. I am good at this. Just gave me a bit more confidence, really, basically.
So was this before you started on?
Yeah, so this is before I let. So after that, I stayed at Miller's for about a year. We were in talks of me taking over. I mean, much like yourself from your sort of dad
within the family business.
Yeah, within the family business. It was we'd been talking for a while about Dad retiring. I think he loves doing it. I don't think generally his heart was probably set in actually retiring. I had a son at this point as well, little Quinn, so he was about a year old, and I was 34, 35, and I'm thinking, if I don't do something soon or get to take over or push it where I want to go, I'm not really going to do anything with my life. I'm just going to sort of stagnate. So we tried to get it across the line, but I could see the writing on the wall that working on everything was almost impossible. Technicians were becoming harder to get. I could see a lot of the stuff that was going on, and I wanted to take over. I thought now was the time if we do it, and we basically just couldn't get there. Complete different vision of what wanted to happen. And
at this point, you're getting this calling to go and do something. You've almost got to leave the nest and make your own way.
I've always sort of thought that I don't want to get through life and look back and think I didn't do anything with my life. I've always wanted to try and be make something of myself, I suppose. Yeah. So it was the hardest decision I've ever had to make.
Do you remember the day was there a day you actually thought, right?
Yeah.
And what was it that triggered you to think you could do it on your own?
Well, we had many meetings, and it was clear that it wasn't going to happen that year. That it was probably going to be a 5-year process. So.
What for buying?
Yeah, or taking over, or however it would work. And I think just literally, I went home that night and speak to Nikita. She was really, really supportive of anything I wanted to do. She just wanted me to be happy, and it got to the point where it was obviously it was quite emotionally draining because you're trying to sort of push something across the line of how can we move forward from here, and it just didn't happen.
And you can't escape from the fact it's your dad.
Yeah,
it's your family.
Yeah, that's it.
And
exactly
it's such a. It's a really. There'll be lots of people listening to this who are in that exact position.
I would have thought quite a few, yeah.
And it goes, well, one of three ways. You either stagnate, stay where you are, you get to your mid-40s and you realise, I'm still
where's
here.
It gone?
Yeah. Or you end up in a position where your dad does let you take the lead and they're happy to step back. I mean, the truth is, they're all hardworking. They know no different.
Yeah.
They love what they do.
Yeah.
It's almost not fair for them to retire, if you know what I mean. So that's probably out the window in most circumstances. Or you do what you do, and that's you just take the leap.
It would,
but it's one thing thinking it.
Yeah.
It's one thing going through all those emotions and you woke up one day and just decided, no, I'm doing it. And it's understanding where you're.
So you went home that night and spoke to Nikita and said.
Well, I don't really know where the decision. I think the decision come more from the unhappiness that I could see it was causing me and my dad, because it's emotional because
there's a lot at stake, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot at stake. He's worked 35 years for what he's achieved. I've got these different ideas, which I completely get. Like you don't want to change sometimes people, especially when he wasn't involved in the Facebook communities and the learning. He hadn't been opened up to what all this stuff I'd been opened up to. So it was very apparent.
You're coming from completely different experiences, aren't you?
It was very apparent,
visions.
Exactly, that it was never going to meet. The only way it could have met is that I would to actually take over, and it wasn't going to happen. So,
or you sit back and do nothing, which would have been the easy option.
Definitely would have been the easy option, but I don't think it would have been great for the family, for me or Dad.
Yeah.
I think we'd have ended up, our relationship would have got worse and worse and worse, and it would not an option for me.
No. Some things are more important.
Yeah, and I think going back to Leo, you said earlier about seeing your dad work all the hours and not interacting with the family. Obviously, I just had Quinn. And I was very, very in my head, I do not want to have the same thing happen.
So you went and started a business.
Well, yeah. What a stupid thing to do that was. But at this point, with that, obviously trying to take over, I was working long hours anyway. I was, dealing with all these diag tools. I was working till 11, 12 o'clock at night, every night. Yeah. So it wasn't as if I was almost running a business, but not. Because I was doing the stuff they didn't see in the background. So I thought, I can't keep doing this. Spoke to Nikita about it. She was just, whatever you want to do, I'll support you the whole way. Spoke to my family, my mum, and Keita's mum. They're all the same, very supportive. So wrote the resignation letter, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and go into the office. Dad knew what it was as soon as I gave it to him because I think he knew it was coming as
Well,
well.
it sounds like you've had those conversations already.
Yeah, we'd already spoke about what was going to happen if things didn't happen and things. So yeah, I mean, gave it to him, and then
that must have I can't obviously I'm in a family business, but we've gone the other path where I'm very lucky in that my dad's given me the freedoms to make mistakes, and things have happened, and garage drives come along, and it's all ended really well. We still have the family business issues, which you'll never get away from. The problem is you're too familiar with each other, and you're too honest with each other, and you know.
I mean, that would have obviously been the
preferred. Really escapes, but I can't imagine. To be fair, when I was 21, I did storm out in a hissy fit and quit, and then come in the next day with tail between.
Like we said about earlier, didn't we? I've done it as well. You stick your job up your ass.
We've all done that, but I can't imagine. Yeah, till you need your weekend. You need your weekend money again, don't you?
Yeah, that's it.
But I can't imagine the emotion that must have been. Really, that must have been really, really difficult to do.
It was. I mean, I've never been that emotional, really. I don't. Well, I'm either I have or I'm not. I don't have an in between. So it was hard. I mean, the hardest bit for me was when I left on the last day. That was because it wasn't real until that point.
Did you have like any remorse or regret during this, or when you were in?
No, I think because I knew what I wanted to achieve at that point. And obviously, you have to plan stuff. You can't just you're sort of in then, aren't you? It was.
So you'd already done a lot of planning before handing your
Well, so actually, this. You know what? We actually probably missed quite an important point on it. So before I actually left, and we were looking at seriously taking over, I did wanted to do some business training, because obviously the one big thing I realised with my dad is that he hadn't done any of that. There wasn't really anything out there at the time. The only thing that was in sort of aftermarket I saw was Andy Sava used to do some bits, and I tried to get my dad to meet him to say, can we do something? What can we do to sort of try and help? And he didn't want to do it. He had his own reasons. That's absolutely fine. So that didn't happen. And it was when I was at Bosch, being trained by various people, and John Batten was one of them. He basically spoke to me about a business training course that he was putting together. Thought, wow, that sounds really good, sort of thing. It was like a week intensive thing he was putting together. I was like, went back, said to Dad, let's do this, and again, didn't want to do it. Obviously, there was a cost involved in it, which I get. Don't want to spend some money sometimes. And I thought, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pay for it myself. Get on that course, because if I take over Millers, I want this training. I need
This is like what, 5 years or so ago was that?
Yeah, it was about 6. Yeah, probably about 5-6 years ago. And I thought I'll prove to him. So let me do this training, and I'll prove to him that we can make more money, we can less stress, all of that, and then he might actually let it happen. So I did the week's course, which was, I mean, it was eye opening. It really, I didn't know anything about business at this point, other than you sell parts and you sell labour. That was it. Talking about marketing and community branding, it was just it literally blew my mind, and I actually loved it. It was, I thought, I want to be. This is what I want to do.
I think that again, that's part of a bigger subject, isn't it? Is that the default position is from a tech to a business owner, and then you kind of just run with it, and you deal with the problems that
which
are
is
in
what
front
my
of
dad
you.
did. Which probably your dad.
Most garages, absolutely. But it's having that headspace and time to step away from the business and go and sit with one of these trainers, whether it be John or whether it be Andy or whoever it is. It puts you in a headspace where you can actually learn a different way.
And it really does. You get to switch off from the mechanical stuff, and it was just having that week intensive around also other business owners. And like, hang on a minute, I'm just a tech. What you've achieved is amazing. That's amazing. You can do. I didn't know any of this existed.
Yeah, so you kind of like inspired on by others.
Well, I mean, it's where I first met Kettle. Mark Kettle was on the first course with me, and Kev Pierce was there, and it was just like, wow,
that's a pretty cool course.
It was amazing.
You didn't go out for a few beers afterwards then?
Yeah, we did.
Bottle of vodka.
I think
Kettle's there.
Kettle took me for a curry, actually. That was a good night. Yeah, that was a good night.
Curry and vodka.
But it was just inspiring, because these guys had achieved stuff already. They were there. They actually were successful. And just hearing their stories and that it really got the bug for the business side of it. And it was like, I want to take over now. I need to take over.
But then you've got the bug for business training as well.
Yeah.
Because you've done all your technician training.
Yeah.
But now you realise actually there's just as much, if not more, to running a business.
Yeah, which I had no idea of before. I don't think there really was there? There wasn't. I mean, you could do business studies at school, not something I ever got involved in, but this is specific industry training. Which relatively speaking, it's a recent thing, isn't it? I would say. I mean, it's. Well, I don't know. Last 10 years is probably something like that, isn't it? I would have thought.
I'd say less than that.
Yeah, it might be even less. It might be 5, 6.
I think really, like probably 5 years. I would say.
And nothing, like I said, nothing was available to my dad for this. It was literally pick a spanner up. Oh no, now I've got a garage and own it. now what do I do?
Yeah.
It was So to have that support and then that become another community was amazing. It was just like we didn't know where it was going to go from there, but I think he did a second course of it, and one of the guys was like, "This, I love this. Can we carry it on?" And just basically ended up doing a bit more training with it, and then I tried to prove what we could do. And again, it wasn't invested in it because again, with polar opposites from what I knew, I had all this new knowledge. He hadn't because he hadn't trained, and he just couldn't get it in the middle. But it was.
But to just probably your dad's perspective is he's running a successful business already. He's making a nice living from it. So he's basing it on his evidence.
His evidence, For me, the only thing I wanted to try and change for him was the time, because there may have been the money side of it was okay, but he was working got all hours.
Yeah.
And I was in my head. There's got to be a better way to do this. You can't do this forever. Seeing he'd not had any hobbies, didn't really see any friends. It was just work, and
I think a lot of people don't understand what they could be earning or what the potential is of a successful garage.
Yeah,
I think people it's that thing. If you're not got there's no one around you to.
But if you don't have the evidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Kev at Cedar and Mark Kettle at EAC. You spend some time with them and you realise actually you can run a really successful business.
It blew my mind. I mean, when obviously we knew sort of really rough figures they were doing where we were, and I was like, you do what?
Yeah.
How do you? And you can see they got great happy staff. They reinvest. They got great technology, and it's all because they've got profit in the business. And I was just like, I can't believe you can do that.
Yeah. But your evidence is based on meeting these people, seeing a different way.
Yeah.
And then that's evidence then, isn't it? Because you need evidence if you want to make a real change. It's all based on the evidence that you see.
And
meeting other garage owners is the best way.
I think if you pair that with actual training, focusing on it, it's an unstoppable pair.
It really is.
Really, I mean, like you said, you had no community before you discovered the Facebook thing. I mean, in the last 5 years, how much has your business changed?
And that's come primarily from other garage owners. If I look at the individual changes that we made in the business that actually made a real difference, I could probably pinpoint them all to learning from somebody else.
I'd agree.
That's a good thing about these training businesses as well. Like if you do take John Batten or Andy Sava, when you go on their course, it's not a one-to-one. You're in a group environment. You meet other garage owners. You get to listen to other stories. You get to speak.
It's coaching and mentoring. It's not just training course, is it? You're being.
That's one of the big things for me
and inspire.
Coaching, mentoring, inspiring.
That really is the big thing for me, and that's what gave me the confidence to do the leap. Was like you said, the mentor, and it's all right. The course, it's what happens after that. It's the phone calls and the keeping you on track. And for me, like at Also IQ, that's what they've supported me with ever since we started. Is that constant mentoring, and it's you're evolving, aren't you, all the time? I'm not the same person.
Accountability,
that's the word, accountability.
So you did your training course on business, and then how long after that did you?
It was probably 6 to 8 months, I think.
So that was really like the last attempt.
I mean, I'd won top tech, so I knew I was technically competent, and I'd done the course. I thought I knew a little bit about business, probably more than I actually did, but it gave me that confidence. And at the time, I didn't know I was going to start a mobile diag business. I mean, why, I don't know. Looking at it,
well, you say why? It's low risk.
I think
low capital. You don't need much money. You don't need many customers. Your overhead's on the high.
And it's what I knew.
And it is the most common route that we see as people go into a van. Build up a bit of a customer base, get a little unit.
But obviously having that mentorship from John again. Obviously, after a few conversations, it's like, well, how do you scale that? How does that become you out of the business? And then when you actually sort of think about it, like, actually, we can build something we can scale. That's what we need to do, because I don't want to do the same thing my dad did with his kids. So me working in a diag business, how's that going to help achieve that?
Well, all of your profit is bound directly to your time invested, isn't it?
It's bound to me.
It's a profitable job, isn't it? Not really.
It's a profitable job, It's a good way of putting it.
But you can't replace yourself. It's very hard to as diag tech. So I started sort of planning what I knew. How I wanted the garage to be, because I knew I wanted customers to be treated better. I wanted staff to be treated better. For me, I'm all about community. I always have been. I've always probably put other people first. I want to make sure my staff are happy and things like that. So it was, how do we design a company to sort of do that? And it was, a lot of the training helped, but a lot of it was a bit of back of the fag packet thing as well. It was like, I was always told, do your numbers, do this, do that, and I'm not really like that. I'm a bit of a, it'll be all right, it'll work. So
we all are a bit like that.
Yeah, it is. To be fair though, it is like when you're starting out, you kind of need that naivety. Because if you overplan it, you're just going to fear, and you're not going to do it.
I remember signing the lease on it, and we didn't have the usage change of the building, and John was like, "You've done what?" I was like, "Yeah, I've signed the lease." He goes, "We haven't got the." I was like, "Yeah, it'll be all right. We'll get it. It'll be fine." And we did get it.
No such thing as a problem.
But like you say, I think you need a naivety. I really think you do. And then I left, and I mean, we agreed years service for the garage. So Dad was very kind and paid me for a few months afterwards because I'd work on a consultancy basis because obviously I did all the diag.
So you were still helping out.
I was helping like update the tools and things like that. But at the same time,
that's quite nice for a relationship perspective as well, isn't it? That it's not a
it's good that you was able to
carry on that relationship.
Yeah, it didn't end. It didn't end. I mean, it was sad. I think we probably both shed some tears because it's just a sad end.
Yeah.
I remember filming when I walked out of the workshop and I turned the lights off for the last time.
Oh, really?
I've got that, and that was quite an emotional, emotional thing. Yeah, and I'm sure Dad had some tears as well. But I mean, it's ended up way for the best now.
Yeah.
But so I had 2 or 3 months off. But at that time, I was designing Fergies and finding.
I can remember speaking. This is when we started speaking, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's when we first spoke. Yeah, because obviously Garage Hive, you got involved with Garage Hive then, and
it wasn't long after actually.
No, I think
within the first year.
Yeah, it would have been, wouldn't it? Yeah. And then I was obviously looking, what do I do? What systems am I going to use? I mean, I wanted to move over to Garage Hive as Miller's, but again, it was something that wasn't a priority.
Not your decision either.
Yeah,
really.
so. As soon as I had my sort of free reign, it was then I can do what I think is the best way. And then, that's how we met. We come up to see, and that's how I met Leo as well, actually. Like, personally, I've known through Facebook, but I come up to your, what branch was it?
Arnold,
yeah. Come up to Arnold for a demo with my mum, actually, wasn't it? Come up with Mum.
Actually, yes.
Yeah. 3 hours up the road. It was an interesting journey.
Saturday morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. And then we literally, had a demo, met it, and sat in the car, and Mum was like, well, sign, that's it, it's done. It's like, it's a really good system. We were impressed by meeting, you yourself, and never looked back from there, really. And
so you've signed your lease, business plan, back of the fag packet.
Yeah, sort of a bit.
And then can't use a building.
Then, you've got a building you can't use. Yeah. And then I can remember you telling me what you were doing.
Yes.
And it was mind-blowing.
Okay,
because you went all in.
Yeah, so when I say back of the fag pack, I think there was a bit more to it than that. That was the initial stage. Then we had to do a bit of proper planning, and it was all in. I think people probably thought I was a bit crazy. I looking back now, I think I was a bit crazy.
I think everybody thinks you. If you went out and to ask 10 people, I'm going to do this, 8 of them will say no.
Oh
do it.
Yeah, pretty much everyone I spoke to, apart from my family, said don't do it.
Yeah.
For me, it was because I think we had a good reputation in the local town. I did certainly for diag work. I didn't want to have to move after like a year. I was really concerned that I'd grow quite quickly. Obviously, we had the support of AutoIQ, so I knew like the marketing and website was going to do really well. And I didn't want to move, so I thought we'll take this place on and get 6 ramps in there. It was just literally I opened the doors on the first day after 3 months of doing it. It was just me in the building.
Yeah. I think I came down when you were putting it all together.
Didn't you, for the training?
It was the ramps were being installed. I think your alignment bay was being installed at the time that I came down.
Was it you and Dort? Was it you?
No,
and Dort?
I think it was just me.
Was it just you?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. But yeah.
I remember when got our first unit. It wasn't quite as big as that. I think it was about 3,000 square foot. Yeah. And there was like one ramp. It's a second-hand ramp I had as well from a barn.
Yes.
This old ramp going up with that in the corner of a big workshop that can hit that.
I think you have to do that, because when I priced it up all new, it was insane. It was like 350 grand invest, which
you've just got to hustle, haven't you, and just get what you can.
We bought everything second hand, painted everything.
Facebook smart. Again is great for it. For it.
Yeah. It really was.
If you want to buy anything, just message Mark Kettle. He's always got something for sale.
He's always got garages that are being emptied. Basically, I mean, without the support of my family, it would never have happened, because I had 3 months to get this unit, which was derelict pretty much, up to a garage, and they were amazing. My family, Nikita's family, Nikita, friends, grafting, all 7 days a week, painting, doing, it was amazing. Jason, who works
and
with
it
me now.
Really is. I mean, the job that you did, I can remember when it came onto the scene, and it was like, right, Fergies is here, great brand, which we're going to speak about, but just your reception and the layout, and it's like you just kind of, I almost felt like that was you've just raised the bar for what the independent garages receptions look like.
Yeah.
yours was more akin to a brand new Costa or a Starbucks than it was
definitely
a backstreet garage.
That's all down to my wife Nikita. She's got a real eye for design. She always has. I wanted it really clinical, like a dealership, like white, everything white, and Nikita and John were just like, no, just go away and leave it to us, sort of thing. So she worked her magic on it. The only thing I was adamant I wanted was the window to look into the workshop, because for me it's building trust to the customer. That was huge.
Absolutely.
I want the customer to know that they can trust us and they can see how tidy we are as well. But
I'd love to. I think the YouTube series we're doing, we've got to come down to your place. I know I know we're going to speak about what the future is, and there's perhaps more down the line
to come.
But it is, for the people who are listening, it's exceptional. You should be very proud of that image that you portrayed, and that's what birthed the Fergies brand, wasn't it? Was here we are, we're serious, we've got a big premises, very professional.
That's it. Well, it was almost a sort of, not fake it till you make it, but it was, if you portray yourself as that.
Well, you set your stall out, didn't you? Straight away.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly
this is what we're about.
I didn't want to be half-assed, nothing, no equipment, try and build into it. It was we are professional.
And what I love about that is your ability to come from winning Top Tech, arguably one of the best technicians in the country. So you know more about fixing a car than most people, yet you prioritised customer service, you prioritise the front of house, you prioritise the customer journey, you prioritise the marketing and the brand.
Yeah.
And it's like those two are often... it's very hard to mix.
Very hard. I think one of the big factors in it, and this is no disrespect to my dad at all, but that wasn't focused on at Miller's, because he was just a technician. It was, let's fix the cars, and I could see customers getting frustrated by things, and not being communicated properly and things like that. For me, it was because we're going to build this brand and we're going all in. We need to hit this running with the customer, satisfaction.
So you've got going then. Can you remember what your first kind of like things that cropped up is like oh shit moments, or like
oh god, yeah, the first was oh god. So as I said, I opened, it was just me. So the first month we had another employee, Jason, who's been with me, so I've worked with for like 15 years, an absolute great lad. He started a month after. He was actually working for my dad, so that was a bit of a contentious issue, but it turned out he was actually leaving anyway. I think he'd done his time there. He was there 10 years. He was looking to leave, so this sort of come about. But for the first month I was on my own, and I remember the first week I had work booked in because I'd been advertising on Facebook for probably 2 months, but I got to the Sunday and I had no cars on site, nothing booked in on the Monday, and I was in this 4,500 square foot workshop, a lot of
with the
money
bills rolling out,
a lot of money in. I sat down in the workshop smoking a fag. I started smoking again because of distress. Smoking a fag.
This is end of week 1.
Yeah, end of week 1.
End of day 1.
Yeah,
I think.
And I actually a tear did roll down my eyes, and I was like, "What have I done? What
Pure
the
remorse.
hell have I done?"
Yeah.
And I come in. So I think it was like 6 o'clock.
And if you don't mind sharing, at that point, how did cash look?
So bad. we obviously borrowed some money to start the business, partly from the bank and partly from my mum was really kind to lend us.
So just on that subject, if you're trying to start out, because the thing that's going to prevent people from starting and certainly doing what you did is cash, is money.
Yeah,
how did you get the loan? Like, just quickly explain that process.
For me, a lot of this was all in the business planning. It was without that, and like I said, I joke about the fag packet thing earlier, but after that, we did put a proper plan into place. So cost of startup, cash flow forecasts, and because the banks generally, most places hate garages because they're not professional businesses. Generally, they are just. But when I went to my bank, who I'd mortgaged with, who I do, I've been with for 30 odd years, and they said most people don't come to us with anything like this. They were like, we'd support you. You can see you're serious. So I think if you're gonna do it and you haven't got loads of money, I mean, ideally you'd want a little bit, but
how much did you start with?
Fergies was about 160k, something like that. It cost to start it. I had, I think, 10 of my own, so it was quite a small amount I had of my own. And basically went, and it was 50-50. I say my mum lent me a large sum of money from when Nan passed away, which she didn't need it, so she said, I can't think of anything better to do with it than help you. But you can go to the bank and get all of the money if you want to. It's only because there's no interest on half of it.
It does help. Although back then interest was much nicer than it is today.
Yeah, it was back then. But as I said, when I costed it new, it was nearly 350, 400 grand. So go in that second hand route, and calling in people you know and things
Just
like
calling
that.
in all the favours.
Everything.
But you can also start up much cheaper if you want, like
Oh,
one
yeah.
round.
Well, I think when I came down, I'm sure your mum was actually painting one of the offices upstairs.
She would have been. Everyone was hands on deck. It was like you could easily start a business a lot smaller, but for me, I knew that we'd scale too quickly.
Well, it's that balancing act, isn't it? In biting off more than you can chew, or outgrowing it, quickly.
For me, exactly that. But also there was a branding thing around it, which I think you want to speak about as well. But for me to attract the clients, I needed to portray a certain image and a certain brand. The clients we wanted, because we were obviously starting like yourself, Leo, as a specialist. Because that was one of the biggest things for me was you can't work on all cars to a certain standard. Yes, you can fix all cars, but not to a.
I think it's easy to get what you are across. I always remember if you drive past someone that says such and such autos, what makes you as a customer think, oh, I'll try them. You drive past like BMW specialist and you're in your BMW, like, oh.
Yeah, it straight to the top of your head. Yeah, you log and when you need something, like, oh yeah, there's that specialist there. So and that was something at Millers we didn't have.
And of course, you've gone down the. Sorry, Lou.
I was going to say, so on this Sunday then, so you're on the ramp, having a fag,
going back crying, to smoking,
basically
drinking.
crying. And then I went in Monday morning, and I've always believed that the sun shines on the righteous, and if you put the work in, something will come. I got there about 6 o'clock, and about 7:45.
So you were still in at 6 o'clock, even though there was no work.
Yeah, because there was things I had to finish. There was things that weren't quite fully finished, and also I thought I wanted to answer emails and
take every opportunity.
And also at that point as well, I was handing flyers out. So I'd get up and go for a flyer walking in the local community for an hour first. So I'd get up and do that, and then I got to work, and about 6:45 the phone rang, and then at 8 the phone rang, and then at 10 to 8 the phone rang, and at 5 to 8 the phone rang, and I was like, oh my god, and I just had to act. Oh, of course, we've had a job cancelled. Bring it down.
Yeah. I'll bring it today actually.
It literally was.
That's the oversubscribed. You read the book, oversubscribed.
Yes,
there you go.
That's it.
If you've not read that book, read the book, because that is perfectly in play, isn't it?
And before I knew it, I had 4 cars in that day. And
so you had 4 cancellations the same day.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, don't take that in front of all of the customers at the same time. But and it sort of just built from there. And I had work booked in on Tuesday anyway. It was only like 2 jobs, but it was just scary. Sat in this building that has cost all that money, and then Monday having nothing. It was a very eye-opening moment.
It's the worst fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember
letting everyone down.
Yeah,
was the worst.
I remember picking up a reception desk from eBay, and I think it was like £800. It was literally the last bit of money I had before we opened the doors.
There's nothing in the bank then.
It was literally like that was it.
I remember when we opened the doors on the first day, we had £3,000. I think it was £982 left in the bank from the original money we put in, and I didn't know anything about cash flow. I didn't have a clue, and it was just like, hope that money comes in. Oh yeah, it was. I look back at it now fondly because you learn so much, don't you?
So what would you say? What would you have said the mistakes that you made were then, looking back now? So I'm not talking about the small stuff. I'm talking about like what would you have changed now if you were doing it again, or to give advice to someone who's perhaps very close to.
I think for people doing it, I think maybe don't go so big. Maybe straight away. I mean, maybe sort of make more reserved a little bit, but. And I would also look at specialism. For me is a huge thing. I'd strongly look at if you have that, because the investment needed for modern garages is absolutely humongous. If you want to fix everything, if you want to be fast fit, absolutely great, because it's a completely different business. But I think make sure I do some business training. 100%. One of the big mistakes I made is I didn't do any accountancy training. Really, I didn't understand figures.
Finance.
That's probably my one advice that I would give to anybody is to do some stuff around that. Luckily, I had my mum on side who's an accountant. Without her, without multiple people, but without her doing that, we would have really been screwed. Because she just understands it all, understands the terms. She managed the bank account for 3.5, 4 years. So this is one thing I've massively learned from the beginning is stop trying to do everything and let people who do the job do the job. Because things like I was cleaning till 3 a.m, reception, and
see, I think that's really, really good advice, because through Garage Hive, I get to see a lot of those mistakes being made in that. As a business owner, especially if you're a technical business owner, you're worth X amount per hour. You could go in the garage and earn 70, 80, 90 pound an hour all day, every single day. When you're up at 2 a.m. doing some cleaning, how bad are you going to perform the next day? How much money are you not going to make? Whereas if you can sensibly outsource some of the lower paid stuff, focus on generating revenue, focus on sales, focus on bringing the cash in.
That's one of the things I really learned from the business trainer from John at Auto IQ was just it's that you focus on the sales. You need to focus on the sale. Let other people do things that they specialise in. I tried in the early days at Miller's. I tried to do marketing myself, Facebook marketing, and thought I'm going to start learning about SEO. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I haven't got the time to do this. So it was after the cleaning thing at 3 a.m, I was like, you need to stop this. You need to let people.
Dedication is an important skill to.
But it can be so hard when you're tight on cash. It can be hard to get into the mindset of and it's like if there are cash flow issues, you can make bad business decisions because you're chasing the cash and not the profit.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you're right.
But often they're the only decision you got, aren't they? Though
they can be. Yeah, you literally can. You might not have a choice. But
so I remember one of the first meetings or interactions I had with another business owner after opening Fergies. And our marketing, obviously the website's brand new. They take a year and a half to get real traction.
Yeah.
So Facebook was the king for us. I know they can lead bad things, but in the early days, it's all we had to deal with. And we were spending $2.5 grand a month on Facebook. And I met a business owner, he's like, what, are you insane? I was like, but when you look at it, I was like, yeah, but that generated £35,000 of revenue. For me, it was an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.
But it's because I had that advice, because I would have thought the same before. I said, $2.5 grand on Facebook, that's mad. But without that, again, so if you're starting a business, you need a marketing strategy. You have to, because people aren't just going to turn up.
No,
100%. But I think what you've done, what you did really well from the outset, and again, props to you, is that you built a brand straight away.
You was clear in what you wanted to achieve.
Very clear. You had your customer, you had your vision, and then you built a brand. So all that marketing, all the money you spend on marketing isn't just a direct booking.
No.
You're getting your brand out there.
Yes,
and for anyone who wants to look at Shaun's Facebook or any of the marketing that he does, the branding is just brilliant.
So I think, again, because I'm very brand driven myself. I love companies like Apple and these sort of companies. And for me, I've always wanted to create something like that as well, where we create that type of customer is drawn to us. That they love the branding, they love all the stuff that goes with it. If you know what I mean, all the culture
how it makes
stuff
them feel, and
how it makes them feel, and just also like design and things like that. I just like being around nice products and nice stuff. And I thought it's going to be easier to attract technicians if you've got a great brand and great culture. It's going to be easier to attract better customers, which it is.
We just on that, we've just in the process of moving to our body shop. And one of the things is that one of the main reasons was just have a better place for the staff and the customers, because we could probably earn more money where we were at least for the next kind of like 1 or 2 years maybe, but having that to get the staff and the customers.
For me it was huge. One of the obviously having our reception, like you said, is not something you'd see in most garages, and I'm used to it now. But one of the things customers do when they walk in is, "Oh my God, what is this?"
That was my reaction.
Yeah, it was.
And then I got a cup of coffee and a packet of cookies as well. It's just...
and the brand that builds is they just don't expect it. So their first touch point is just like, what the hell?
And you can argue that especially with modern vehicles, is that they'll often bring them in and get them back exactly the same way they bought them in.
100%.
It is those touch points.
Yeah,
that's really the only thing they have to judge.
Yeah,
if they're doing preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
Typically speaking, the only thing that they can judge the transaction on is your reception.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is the service advisor, is the cup of coffee, is how you make them
how
feel.
You make them feel.
Make them feel.
It's not actually about the car, is it?
No, it really isn't.
And that's why literally in the first week, from the very first day, we cleaned every car that come in. So I worked for the first month. I
put your valeting skills
I
back.
did front of house, fixed the cars, and did valeting. And then as soon as we could, we took a valet one, because, like you said, it's one of the only things. The first touch point, oh wow. The second last touch point, oh wow. Well, that's what we tried to achieve.
Yeah.
And like you said, staff is a huge thing. Like if you're moving, just to help your staff, and it's a huge thing now, isn't it? Staff retention, and you want them to be happy at work. Why would you not?
Well, recruitment's never been more expensive, and to reduce your recruitment bill, retain good staff.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple, isn't it?
Good team members as well reduce your load as well, don't they? So they take the stress off of you, and they also give you ideas that you didn't even think of, which I've.
Well, that's ultimately bringing in people who are better than you at the job that you were previously doing.
Yeah, exactly that. And I'm not. I say, like, this goes back to getting people to do things you can't do. I'm not a marketer. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not. I'm just a technician. So I have to learn all this stuff of other people, and other people are better at me, so get them to do it.
So I think there's no escape from you did what you needed to do. You worked every hour under the sun.
Yeah,
You probably weren't at home much during those initial...
No, say big shout out to Nikita there, raising the children and doing all,
and working with you as well at the same time. So
in the early days, she was there. She was full time, wasn't she? In the early days, and then obviously we had Peyton. So
who's in the business now? What have you got? Staff wise,
so we've now got myself. We've got 2 front of house, Rosie and Nigel. They're both really great. We got 4 techs and Valator. So what's that, 7 or 8, something like that. And then we're looking to expand and take more on at the moment.
Yeah, so that I guess leads into what's next for Fergies. And what have you got?
Well, just before that, actually, we need to discuss that, because I think you're the only person in the country that's done this.
Right.
You win Top Tech.
Top garage.
Yeah, you set your own garage up, and then you decide you want to win Top Garage as well, because
that was a
and I was there for
crazy
that.
one.
Yeah, I got to see that.
You didn't?
I think I was there as well. Actually.
It was a lot of that. Nikita was so competitive. She's got real competitive nature. So I think she saw how much I enjoyed Top Tech, and she wanted a bit of that. So at the time we were still heavily involved in the garage. We decided to enter Top Garage. Obviously, also knowing that it'd be great brand marketing, it would be great, for the business as a whole, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's great for the staff.
Yeah, it's great for the staff. Well. Great because you're promoting that you're working at one of the best places, and so we entered Top Garage. It's very similar online rounds.
So for people who aren't familiar, we explain what Top Tech is. Top Garage is quite literally the same process, but from a business owner's perspective.
From a business point of view. So a couple of online rounds. There's no practical round as such as there until the final when you go in and answer questions and things like that. But so you can just put out there what you do, and again put yourself against the best in the country.
And it's a similar process in that you answer questions, you see where you've perhaps got gaps, there's consideration for the following year. Yeah. And then the final round is you have to go in and present in front of the judges.
Yeah, that was it. Going in front of the judges,
which is quite a nervy thing to do.
Yeah,
like
really.
If you've never pitched or presented before.
Yeah.
As a business owner, it's a skill that we all need to have.
Yeah, definitely.
And that forces you in restricted time frame to speak about
the business. Yeah. But with that, so I'd never done any presenting or anything like that, and I couldn't get my head around how can I do this in 3 minutes about the company. So Nikita come up with the idea of actually doing a video. So we shot a video about the company, and then we were speaking in it, and other people were speaking in it. And it was brilliant because it allowed us to portray the important messages over. Because I know 3 minutes would just fly by and I'll forget it. So we did that. Then I had the whole team up for the day for the final, because you want to spend time with your team as well. And it was a great day. Had no idea we were going to win it. Really didn't. I mean, I thought it went well, but some of the competition we were up against was these are well-established garage, 30-year garages, some serious competition. I had absolutely no idea. And when Andy announced our name, I almost didn't take it in. It was it was absolutely amazing for the team as well. Mainly, I mean, they were buzzing. You could see that. Jason is quite famously miserable. He's dead. He's actually a really, really lovely guy, but he's got such a deadpan face. I've got video of him getting up and high-fiving the whole team around the room, and it was just a real special event, and really good for Nikita as well, and Mum and John were there.
I guess the most amazing thing about that is that you were still a young business when you decided to
I think we were 2 or 3 years or something. It was
but it just showed, because a lot of the Top Garage is based on current process, what your strategy is, what your diag strategy is, what you do with EV marketing, etc.
It shows you all that in
it just shows that
2 years
100%. You know, and credit to you in that you know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You seek advice, you learn, you listen, you apply it. Yeah. And then that's just evidence that it all came together, because you're trying to impress some pretty, these guys have got high standards.
Yeah, it was. Our judges were from Mutal, I think, the big oil brand. So it's like, you're trying to, they don't know anything about us. You're trying to impress them. But it was just a great day again, and it was just great to be for the team. So I'd recommend anyone again enter it.
Were there any tears on that day?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose
I need to enter that, to be fair. I need to enter.
You've not done it yet?
No.
Come on, Lee, you got to do it this year. I think it's already done this year. You'll have to do it for next year. I'd recommend everyone to do it again, because you know where you fall short again, and you get to meet people again. And if you learn 2 things from it, it's worth doing.
100%.
I think,
and it's free. Yeah, you got to put some time into it. It's a great experience.
Every training course for me has always been the same as that. If I go home and I've learned one thing, it's worth doing.
Yeah, definitely.
I met one person. It's worth doing. So we ended up winning Top Garage, which again was a great marketing thing for the company. Custom, we got it up in the reception, and customers do ask about it, and it's a bit outdated now because it was like 20. I can't remember.
Just
what year it was
rub
now,
the year off.
Yeah. And we obviously then when you get in business, you start to have problems come. We were going to enter every year, but you have staffing issues come in, and think all the stuff that people told me would happen eventually starts to happen.
Well, that's inevitable as your team grows. You're exposed to more HR problems, aren't you?
More problems, aren't you? Yeah. So and but up to that point, I hadn't been because it was only really me, Jason, and we had another young lad come along. But then, you start to kiss a few frogs, don't you? Trying to employ other front of houses, employ other techs, and that's when the real wake up and having the mentorship behind you is invaluable.
Yeah,
because that's something my dad didn't have.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he. I honestly don't know how he done it.
Yeah.
So my advice would be to anybody on that: make sure you have, like I said, someone to lean on and a great community around you. You have a mentor, but also have a load of friends.
100%
in the industry. Yeah, it really is.
Well, I mean, it is truly it's a completely unique. Well, I say you've gone on a unique journey. Started in a familiar place to lots of people.
Yeah.
Achieved, as I said, I don't know anyone else who's managed to do top tech and top garage, and
don't know yet.
I don't know. I think you're in your own company there, but just incredible stuff, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to watch it from the sidelines as well, and
especially in this short window of time you've done it all.
That's the remarkable thing.
See, it's weird. It doesn't feel short to me. It feels like I should be further forward.
I think everyone thinks that. I always say
you ready for it? You didn't have grey hair when we met.
Yeah, that's one thing I do say is I have brown hair when we met.
But you've still got it. So
people start to be like, "Oh, you're so well with what you've done." I'm like, well, no, because I want to be. I should be there.
Obviously, that's quite a common thing, is it?
I think so. I think you're never satisfied. Are you?
Well, you're cursed, aren't you? You're cursed with the what was driving you back then to make that leap.
Yeah,
that's within you, and it's going to stay within you, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Do you know one thing that has helped me actually cope with that? And I think I've actually realised it's a journey. It's not,
and try and enjoy it.
Yeah, because everyone, you listen to a lot of podcasts now, don't you? Sports people and things like that, and everyone says they get to the end and don't enjoy it. So try and enjoy.
It's the gold medal athletes, isn't it?
Exactly
you get the gold medal. Then what?
Let's all just enjoy the journey, because we're going to be doing it for years, and enjoy those little wins, isn't it? So try to do that as much as we can.
Celebrate the wins.
Yeah, something I've realised recently, I think, is that just accepting that things do take time as well, especially as you get a bigger team.
That's really hard.
Yeah, it's like, because like I used to be, you think of something like now, and then in half an hour you tell your advisors you're doing it. Done? Whereas now, even for us, you've got managing things, and just something takes for us now, it even takes a few weeks to get something off a line.
Yeah.
But you have to just accept that things take time, and you've got to follow that process of, don't just go straight down to the fire and deal with it yourself, sort of thing.
Respect the process.
I think I'm at that point where we're probably starting to do that now, because I say sort of 6-7 employees, you got over double that, I'd imagine. I mean,
60,
Gee, wow. How do you deal with that? So this is the next part of my journey, I suppose, is the learning of dealing with.
So what is next? What's your ambition? Because I can guarantee it doesn't stop where you are.
No, so I basically want to build a company that looks after staff. That's what I want to build, a company that will outlast me. So what we're trying to do is, whether that be multi-branch, bigger branch for this one, I don't fully know yet, because obviously technician crisis and things, it's a difficult. It's a difficult one at the moment. Expansion initially is the first thing, to get the company to double the size, and then I just want to allow my team to come out of themselves, and to earn more money, and to because at the end of the day, if they're happy and doing what they're doing, it can reduce my stress as well. And I just want to bring everyone up around me, bring them up. I think for years people have been underpaid in the industry, really badly underpaid, and trying to get that.
Trying to change that.
Yeah, really trying to change that, because then you want to stay in the industry, and you encourage people to go into the industry, because you can earn good money doing it. So I think it's all about, for me, about the culture, and trying to bring the right people into the business to push it forward, because I'm not the best businessman in the world. All I know is I'm quite a good tech, and I like people, and I want to put people first.
You're very humble.
Oh, I've tried to be, yeah. But
so what's your driving factor for wanting to double in size?
I think that comes to we were saying off air, weren't we? Just removing stress, because when people on holiday,
removing stress.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah. Why did you start a business? Well,
you can double your stress.
Yeah, I've just noticed that when people go on holiday in a smaller business, it's very hard to function. You go backwards rather than forwards. So yeah, but just want to expand so that we can have less.
You can put a bit of a management structure in place.
That's exactly it. Because at the moment, I still am like the general manager, managing most of the stuff. I'd love to get to a point where decisions don't really go through to me so much.
Yeah.
I want to get great people in place to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's probably not affordable in a smaller team.
Yeah, no, it's not exactly that. So that's definitely the next thing. And then future, I mean, who knows?
When down the line, kids coming into the business?
If he wants to, then I'd be in the same situation as I was with my dad, wouldn't I? Yeah. I mean, I'd love it to be an amazing industry where he would want to come into.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? If it's
Yeah.
an industry that they want to come into,
if they can see it's really technically challenging and they can earn
And
good
rewarding.
money, rewarding, because that's what it comes down to, isn't it? A lot of
Yeah.
the stuff as well is rewarding, and
It's quite interesting though, they said there about the reason for growth is to have that team, because if you looked at maybe your net profit as a percentage, it's going to be smaller on the bigger business, but what people don't probably instantly think about is the time side of it. If you can have I'm sure would rather have a business where you've got a manager or managers running it, where you can go out for a day or
sacrifice some profit for some freedom.
Well, you're actually building then a proper
valuable
business.
exactly. That's what I was.
I think most kind of like maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 ramp sites, you take the owner away. If it's a one site thing,
it collapses.
It's not going to be a business as such as it. They're still the owner operator run, aren't they? So
exactly.
Really
And I want to get away from that. That's why I want to try and build a business, like I said, that can outlast me. Because I don't want to work till I'm 70. Like you see, like my dad.
When you get to 70, you will.
Yeah. Want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I always remember when I went from, whatever, like a certified / technician, and I was like, right, we need a workshop manager, a service manager, and basically there's like 3 roles you need to replace yourself with instantly. So you're going from probably like what you're paying yourself to adding in like a 90, 100 grand bill.
Wow. Yeah.
And
because you're doing all those roles, aren't you?
But
And that's
you
when
have
you
to
need
do
the
it.
technicians, don't you? You need the labour available to cover those overheads.
Yeah, it's a massive, I call it like you're bloating. So as you grow, you're going to add in so many more costs. And I think that's where you'll find a lot of people do that, and then they kind of step back. But you've got to really kind of have the plans and know what
get through that.
And you're going to have to sacrifice probably...
Trust the process.
Yeah, sacrifice 2-3 years worth of any sort of profit to pay for that.
Yeah.
And then wait till year 4, year 5.
Yeah.
So
and that's when it can start to sort of grow from there, can't it?
So you're going forwards with your business, probably backwards from an accounting point of view.
But then if you don't do that, where do you go?
You're stuck on
stagnant.
And it's I don't want to be stagnant. So so just want to keep moving forward. I mean, I'm fully aware the next 2 or 3 years, and maybe holidays might not be so much and things like that. But we've actually had a midlife crisis and just bought a caravan.
So that we can,
we're in that camp firmly.
You can still get your caravan. Still get your holidays in. I think, and that's a really important thing to do as well. Even if it's 2 holidays a year, or whatever. It's because you come back from holiday and you just really energized.
Why a caravan and not a camper van or a motorhome?
A tent.
Purely down to cost, to be honest with you. And also, we borrowed a motorhome, and it's such a pain in the ass when you want to go out.
Yeah.
Because we've got kids. Every day, if we go camping, we're going to want to go somewhere.
Yeah, Tim.
Pack it.
If you're listening, Tim. We go with a group, and there's a mixed bag.
Is there?
Yeah.
Well, caravans and
motorhomes and camper vans.
Oh, yeah.
And short wheelbase, long wheelbase.
Short wheelbase, long wheelbase.
Do you give Tim a bit of a?
Yeah.
He's the only one not in the van crew. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to see what it's all about, though. So hopefully it's good. I'll still try and get away as have time off, because I think you just alluded to something. You mentioned about advice to somebody. One thing I definitely would say is make sure you continue your hobbies.
Yeah.
And work out is what I would give, because for 3 years I didn't do anything and I put weight on, and you just end up in a bit of a
downward cycle.
Yeah, because it's I don't want to say owning a business is a lonely place, but it can be. You can isolate yourself very easily and become unhealthy, and you don't realise. And it come to a point where I was like, I have to prioritise this again, and it's changed like huge.
Yeah, so I remember saying to myself, it's all right for these guys going to the gym. I've got a business to run.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
Yeah,
and then this is mindset again, isn't it?
Just get out of bed.
You've got to want to do something. If you want to do it, you'll do it.
Yeah, one of the the book that changed me was is it the 5 a.m. Club?
Yeah,
that one.
See, I read that and it worked for about a week.
Yeah,
and literally, it is just for me. It was something in my head that's like, I want this now.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Yeah,
I don't get up at 5, but it was a case of I did do it for like a couple of weeks, but then it was a case of I want to do it, so get up at 6 because then I can do it then, and I've never looked back from there. So I definitely recommend a bit of that as well. bit of R&D.
And the other thing is if you do grow and get that team in, you can generally have a week away and not have to look at your emails.
Not come back to too many fires.
Don't take any phone calls away. That's kind of...
This year was the first year we did that. So you say about kissing frogs, we've had front of house come and go and never had a sustainable period of 2 really good front of house. We've now got that. Nigel and Rosie are brilliant. Christmas, I went away for the first time for a week and a half and not worried about the company.
That's a game changer. Progress.
Yeah, game changer.
So what does your day look like then? Talking about 5 a.m. club and stuff, what do you... Yeah.
Wake up sort of at 5:30, 6 o'clock, go to the gym, normally get to work. The guys at work would tell you it'd be more like 9:30, but it's not. It's about 8:30. So I'm a little bit later in than them. But because I had to prioritise my health, it was something that I sort of spoke to the team about. So 8:30 at work, and basically just oversee everyone doing their work. Really, I'm overseeing front of house, overseeing
problem
the
solving.
Yeah, it's the team are now great. They know what they need to do. They don't need a hand holding. But I just still just make sure if there are any problems, I'm there to support it, and obviously doing all the normal business stuff as well, and looking forward and Do
you normally get home at a normal time, or do you work late still?
So don't work weekends now, and after 3 years, I stopped working Saturdays because I was doing a lot of paperwork stuff Saturdays. So that's really good, and I get home at 6, sort of somewhere between 5:30 and 6 most nights now. So again, this year has been a game changer on that. But before that, it was get home, eat dinner.
Work was the priority.
Yeah. I mean, it got to a point where it's a bit stupid, really, but overworked to the point that I had I can only presume like a massive panic attack. I was driving home from work one day about 2 a.m. I literally thought I was having a heart attack, and it was just that I'd overworked myself. For 3 years of doing that.
But it is, yes, that balance is obviously important, but you can't get away from having to go. Like if you're going to do this
in the beginning,
there is no other way. Like you have to roll your sleeves up.
Yeah, and anyone who tells you it's different, they're like, well, they haven't been through it.
And it's you do look at those garages that are successful and they've been through that journey, and you do see that they've perhaps slowed down a bit and they've got a bit more freedom, and that's what you want. But it's a tough process to get to that stage,
and that's where you need that support, isn't it? Like you said, that community, the support, the mentor, it's so valuable.
If you go into it thinking you can do that,
it's going to be easy. It's not.
Yeah, you're going to have a shock quite quick.
I thought it was going to be hard, and I always said I know I'm going to have to work every hour I got sentenced for 2 years, and then we got to 2 years and I was like, this isn't changing.
3 years.
So just be aware of it, but the rewards are worth it.
They're coming in.
Not just financial. I'm on about, like you said, a bit of time off. If your kid's got to play and you want to go watch it,
you got the freedom.
Go and watch it. Yeah.
No, that'll go when you expand.
for a couple of years, and then we'll be back to it. Then we'll be phoning Alex and say, how do you do multi-branch?
I don't know. Still don't know.
And you'll be phoning you as well.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I've really enjoyed that conversation.
Thank you.
Hopefully people who've made it this far through the podcast, because it's going to be a lengthy one, but there was just so much to talk about, and it's a great story, and hopefully there's things in there that people can relate to. They're perhaps on the journey, perhaps thinking about starting the journey.
Well, take inspiration from massively.
I really hope it can help anybody out, because all we want to do is raise the industry, isn't it? That's everybody. I think that's what everyone wants to do in the industry. So
make some money as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
And have some holidays.
Have some holidays. No, but no, it's been an absolute honour, guys. Thank you for inviting me. It's been real fun.
No, cool. Thank you. Right, nice one. We'll if you like it, I've got to do the subscribe thing. Oh yeah. Please subscribe, please.
Share it.
Please subscribe.
Like it.
Yeah, there we go. Professional. Right,
Alex needs another caravan.
Camper van.
Sorry, camper van.
Yeah. I'm in a tent. I am. It's right, please.
Yeah, on the side of his camper van.
He's doing all right. On the side of his Winnebago.
Yeah. Right, nice one. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, guys.
See ya.